Today we're going to have a look at how we find the circumference of a circle. So let's begin. Now the circumference of a circle is essentially the perimeter of a circle, which is the distance around the outside of the circle. So the circumference can be found just here. But in order to find the circumference of a circle, there are a couple of other parts of the circle that we need to know, starting with drawing a dot here for the centre of the circle. Now if we draw a straight line that starts at one edge of the circle, goes through the centre of the circle, we've drawn what's known as the diameter of a circle. But if we take half the length of the diameter, or draw a line from the centre of our circle to the outside of our circle, we've found what's known as the radius of our circle. And now we've identified the different parts of a circle, let's take a look at a special relationship that exists between the diameter and the circumference, and how we use this to create a formula to find the circumference of a circle. Now if you were to first draw any size circle, and then accurately measure the circumference of the circle, which I'm going to label as C here, and then accurately measure the diameter of the circle, which I'm going to label D here, you would find that the circumference of the circle is approximately 3.14 times bigger than the diameter. So what I'm saying there is, if you were to take the length of the diameter, you would fit approximately 3.14 of those lengths inside the length of the circumference of any given circle. But why am I saying it's only approximately 3.14? Why don't I give you the exact value? Well, that's because the exact value is an irrational number. It's a never-ending decimal that never repeats. And that irrational number is known as pi. Now, if you locate pi on your calculator, press pi and hit the equals sign, the calculator will tell you that that is approximately equal to 3.141592654. It may give you a few more decimals depending on your calculator, but this is still an approximated value because pi is an irrational number. But what is special about the number pi is our circumference is exactly equal to our diameter multiplied by pi, which as a formula we write as circumference equals d pi. But there's actually two forms that this circumference formula exists in. It exists in this form that I presented here, circumference equals d times pi, but d is also equal to 2 lots of r, or 2 times r, which we can write as diameter equals 2r. So the other form that our circumference formula can exist in is our circumference equals 2r times pi, which in mathematics we often write as circumference equals 2 pi r, which is the same as saying 2 times pi times r. So to summarise, there's two forms that our circumference formula can exist in. The first form is circumference equals d times pi. And the second form is circumference equals 2 pi r. Now let's have a look at why having two forms of this circumference formula might be useful. Now I've been asked in this problem to find the circumference of the circle in front of me to 2 decimal places. Now whenever I'm given a problem like this, I first like to identify what information I've been given. Now in the diagram here, I've been given the diameter, and the diameter, which I'm going to use as d, equals 7 centimetres. And the question's asked me to find the circumference of the circle, so I don't know the circumference. So what I do is I look at my circumference formulas and I choose the circumference formula that has our diameter in it. So that's C equals 2d times pi. And I write down that formula. And then what I do next is I substitute the value of d into the formula. So this is going to be circumference equals, my diameter is 7, so 7 times pi, which I can write as 7 pi. So I then enter 7 pi into my calculator, and I find that the circumference is approximately equal to 21.99 centimeters rounded to 2 decimal places. And that's how we find the circumference if we're given the diameter. But what if I've got a problem here where I've been given the radius? Well, I start the same way. I record what information have I been given. Now the radius in this problem is equal to 4 meters. And the questions ask me to find the circumference. So what I do is I write the formula for the circumference that includes the radius. So the circumference is equal to 2 pi r. Then I substitute my radius of 4 meters into the formula where I've got the radius. So that's equal to 2 pi times the radius of 4. At this stage, I then enter that value into my calculator, and I find that the circumference is approximately equal to 25.13 meters long, rounded to 2 decimal places. So when we've got a problem that asks us to find the circumference of a circle, we should first write down the information that's given us. We should then work out what formula would be the most appropriate to use and write that formula down. We then substitute the values into our formula and then finally enter it into our calculator. So now it's your turn. In front of me, I've got a couple of circles here for you to try and find the circumference for yourself.